Hi all, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Will Faulkner. I'm a photographer based in Melbourne, Australia. Today I'm going to run through how I make quick money with business portrait headshots. So in today's video, I'm going to take you through my systems, the systems I use to make quick money with corporate business headshots. The first thing I have here is my case. Now this is a Pelican Air 1535 wheelie case, got the wheels on the bottom, the handle pulls out. And I use this because I can travel in my car or on the public transport to the edge of the city and then hop on the tram or even walk, as I did this week, walk further to the site location. And often there's no parking right at the locations where I work, so I have to travel light, okay? Everything I need, including the laptop and tether cable and flashes and everything fits in this case. And I'll put the checklist up on screen now that I use. I use a checklist that has tick boxes for leaving home and also for leaving the site. So I can check off everything before I leave the home and check off everything before I leave site. And that gets rid of all the anxiety. I'm sure you other photographers who have tried this headshot game know that anxiety is a big part of it, actually with any on-site photography. Anxiety builds up and you're on the tram or you're in the car and you arrive at your site and you think, oh my God, did I actually pack the trigger or the lens or whatever it may be? And that really can add a lot of unnecessary anxiety. So please use a checklist. You can copy the one I put up on screen now. The other thing I take is a call sheet, and I want to give a shout out to Carl Taylor Education for alerting me to this. I never used the call sheet for years, and it was all sort of in my head and on an email chain that goes back 2 or 3 months as you talk about the shoot. But look, a call sheet just narrows the conversation down, puts it all on a sheet, and the customer has said, yes, we want this style or a combination of both styles. In this particular case, the customer wanted a head to toe and a head and shoulders, and they didn't know which one they might take. I shot both, and you know what? They bought both, and they pay per photo. So I made double the money by shooting both different types of images and by giving them this call sheet ahead of time. This made me money, doubled my money on the day basically. Instead of just taking one photo, I took 2 and got paid for 2. So at the time of making this video, I'm charging $300 Australian ex GST. So that's 10% on top for tax, goods and services tax. So $330 Australian. I don't know what that converts to in US, but you can work it out online. And that's pretty good money for this kind of work. For the time it takes to do this kind of work, that's pretty good money. The shoot was at 8 o'clock in the morning. I departed my home at 6:45, I think it was, and arrived half an hour early to scope out the scene and get the composition nailed down before the talent arrived. And I had the photos edited by lunchtime. I sat on the photos for a day, just to allow myself to pick up anything that I might have missed. And sure enough, the next morning I just tweaked the exposure a little bit, something that I didn't see the day before. And I always advise to do that. Sit on your work a day and let it sort of render, and you'll always pick up that little thing that you might have missed. So on that, it's pretty good money, $300. So there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 photos, $330 each. That's pretty good money for a half day's work, in my opinion. Okay, so that's the hardware. Let's jump over into Lightroom and Photoshop, and I'll show you the systems I use to quickly edit these, and you can download these systems as well and apply them to your photography. Now these are some photos in Lightroom. I took these this morning at 8 o'clock in the morning in the city here in Melbourne, Australia, and I'll have these pumped out before lunchtime. What I'm trying to say to you guys is the turnaround process on this is pretty quick once you get into a system that I use. So what I've got here is Lightroom and Photoshop. I've done 2 photos already, but I'll work on another one now. Let's work on this one here. So this is a photo of the gentleman standing full body with no glasses, and I took one earlier with glasses. So this one is no glasses. The first thing I do every time is press auto on Lightroom and just see what Lightroom will give me. And generally with these kind of photos, it does pretty well. This was a split lighting system, so we've got a speed light with umbrella close to his left, just out of frame here. And we've got a rim light off to the right, another speed light set on a wide zoom, and it's set on quite low power, so it's an 8:1 ratio. The catch light on the right is 8 times less powerful than the speed light on the right. They're both set to ETTL, and I did play around with the power function on the ETTL today. I dropped it down just a little bit because some of the images were looking at way too flashy. Let's go across to Photoshop, go across to Actions, go to my Actions pack, which is available in the link below, and go to WF frequency separation and press play. This is super quick, guys, and we're not going to deal with skin imperfections and things like that, but we're going to deal with the background problem. Now you can see the action brings up some information here. All done. Next, use the clone stamp tool at 100% opacity and 3% flow, and use the brush tool on the skin color layer. I'll show you how we do that. So just click continue, go to layers. You can see here it's created 3 layers. Base layer, don't touch that. Skin layer, use the brush tool here, and clone stamp layer, this on the skin texture layer, sorry, use the clone stamp tool here. So I'll be toggling on my keyboard between B and S, and B and S gives us the option to go with brush. You can see that's brush there. If I toggle to S, it goes back to clone stamp, and I'll be using my mouse to click back and forth between these 2 layers. I usually use a Wacom tablet, but my Wacom tablet is unplugged because I am using the microphone to record this video. Anyway, let's get started. Use the brush tool. Normally what I do is I use the clone stamp tool first and adjust the textures in the image. And I want to take out these problems here, these 2 white stamps here, 2 white bits of white paint. You can see there's some graffiti, old graffiti there that's been painted over, a stick, a leaf. We want to take all that out. And I'll show you the before and after in a moment. So clone stamp tool, we're on clone stamp, set the flow down to say 10% and a nice soft hardness on the clone stamp. Okay, and we're going to go into the, make sure we're on the correct layer, click option and click right next to the problem, okay, and then clone stamp it out. If it's not clone stamping out, that means you know it's not a texture issue, but it's a color issue. But it's important that we use the texture clone stamp tool layer first and address them first. So basically we're removing textures first, then we go back as a secondary action and remove, or sorry, correct colors, if that makes sense. Always do the texture first. Okay, so now things that weren't picked up as textures must be colors. So click B, we'll go across the brush, and we're gonna widen the brush, make sure it's soft, make it nice and soft. Click option next to, quite close to your subject. Okay, click option and sample that, and then brush it out. You can see the flow is down to 2%. You can increase the flow, and that means you'll have to do this less times, like I'm going over this multiple times, but I have found that a lower flow and doing it multiple times is a better way to go. I'm going to increase the flow just for the purpose of speeding up today's tutorial. Now you can see that hasn't quite removed it, right? There's still some issues there, so that must be a texture issue. So go back there, press S, stamp it out. Okay, flow is at 10%. You can increase that to 100 to speed things up, but I like to do things slowly and carefully. You can see that's all gone. Okay, so there was a bit of texture, there was a bit of color issue there. Let's group that together, and you can see what I have done. Zoom out, so before and after. I'll go through this later and correct the leaves and the twig and this and that. And so in my opinion, you can't deliver this photo to the client. You've got to correct those imperfections there. I'll go back and I'll correct the skin tone. The skin tone is a little bit pale. I'll do that in Lightroom. I generally just use Photoshop for frequency separation, correcting any things that shouldn't be there, like spray paint and glitter and so forth. So that's it for today, guys. I hope that helps you. Click the link below to download my actions pack, and I'm adding to it all the time. Thanks very much. See you in the next video. Bye.